And
What's going on, everyone? Johnny B. Crazy's back, and you caught Sasa humming. Today, we're here to talk about no one. So, no, I'm kidding. We're here to talk about one of my favorite characters, Arya Stark. Uh, we have on the panel today, as always, my lovely co-host, Mackenzie Allburn. How are you today?
oh, well, hi everyone, and we're doing a live stream on Wednesday in like relative morning, but gonna do another one later. So it's gonna be a day full of streams. How are you, Johnny?
I'm doing pretty good, and we have, I thank you for coming on, Sassy Sansa, and we have Bran the Blasphemous Builder from the God Amino is on with us today. And how are you doing, my man?
Doing pretty good. How about yourself, bud?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. No tech difficulties today, so we're having a stream, so I'm doing good.
That's always a plus.
Ha! I want to say what's up to everyone in the chat. Dating Gaming 18, what's up, man? Jordy Jedi, how's it going, buddy? And we'll have some more people. Yeah, people flowing in. Sure.
Bubba Husky. Can't forget Bubba Husky.
There he is.
Bubba.
Ooh. The man, the myth, the legend, the Bubba Husky. But yeah, we're gonna just get into Arya Stark. I'm kind of stalling a little bit because you know how YouTube is with the notifications. Like, oh, they're live.
Yeah, and everybody's over there at Justin's too, probably.
Oh, they'll flow in. They'll flow in. So, you know, let's just kind of get to the basics. We have a 9-year-old girl in the books, 11-year-old girl in the shows. Everything's taken away and pretty much thrust into a situation of chaos. It's either kill or be killed. I would just say we'll kind of talk about show mainly today, and we'll get in the books near the end. And hey, Cindy, Sammy, how are you? Bran, what were your? I know you read the books first, so your first impressions of Arya, like books and show. Just go.
Well, I initially liked the whole storyline she had. You know, she's the tomboy. You know, she's running around. She doesn't really fit in, but you're cued in that she's more like the Starks than the others. You know, she's got the northern qualities. You know, you hear about her and Lyanna. You know, reminding her of Lyanna a lot, and so I mean, initially I liked her storyline all the way through up until she went to Bravos. Anyway, I mean,
It gets crazy there, and we'll actually talk about the release chapter from Wynn's Mercy at the end of this because it's slightly disturbing, even though it's very cool. It's slightly disturbing, but yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, she's very likable, especially the first scene you see her. She hits the bullseye. Bran can't even hit the target.
yeah.
When she runs off. Oh man, I love that part. What were your thoughts, Mackenzie?
Well, when we're first introduced to the Stark family in general, you see that there's Sansa and Arya with the Septum Ordained and all the northern lords or like high up children sitting in a room, all the girls sewing. And you know that Arya is the one that's out of place in this situation. So you're like, because she's like not doing it properly while all the other ones are doing it. So you're just thinking like,
Needle.
this one's out, yeah, with the needle, and that this one is out of place, and that's something that's going to make her either different from everybody else, whether it is because of the development of the tomboy sort of storyline. But for like a lot of people, and a lot of women, I guess in general, it's just going against the gender norms that have been set because it's not. Because in most fantasy type stories, there is all the girls do the girly things, but she's going against it, which is kind of cool. And along with her playing with her brothers is also very fun as well.
Yeah, you make a good point there, and this world especially, women are, I wouldn't say suppressed because women can have as much power as men, but the dichotomy of the roles is vast. You know, you're supposed to have children, you're supposed to be a lady, and we see Arya from the beginning is defying that. Go ahead. And
like,
I was about to say
it's just like that's also a thing of like how she has to be clean all the time and all of this, and like has her hair done a certain way and stuff, like because I think she recounts a story later on where she was like all messy and dirty or and all of this stuff, and then we see it also later along down the line in season 1, like she's completely like covered in dirt, and it's just like she feels at peace in this point, not like in the fancy dresses and stuff like her sister.
Yeah, in the book, she gets a type of, I would call it poison ivy. I can't remember what the leaves are called, but I think it's pretty funny. She just keeps on going. She just rubs some mud on it and keeps going. Well, the locals told me to rub some mud on it.
On the King's Road.
Like, Brandon, you would say it was kind of pretty obvious from the beginning that she was going to be, I don't want to say a knight, but she was going to be a fighter for sure because she had that will you could see, right?
Yeah, she definitely had the anger, I guess, the lashing out. I mean, every time something happened, she was quick to lash out. She, doesn't really think about it. She just lashes out, and then she, later she might come back and think about it. But yeah, you could tell she was from the get go that, like she said, with the needle and sewing, she's different. She's not really fitting in what she's supposed to be. The women have their roles, the men have their roles, and they don't really interchange very often. And especially at the very beginning here, everything's laid out. You got the Lord, and the lady, and she's just not fitting that role whatsoever.
Yes, very true. I just want to welcome Lady Laura Dane, Bobby Catalano, and Septuagint Secrets to the chat. And I'm trying to decipher. I had this memory of Arya running away and watching the sparring with John, and John tells her to go face her punishment quickly, and she accepts that as good advice.
I think that was after she ran away from sewing with Scepter Mordain.
Yeah, I guess it was good advice. If that's a question, I would say it's good advice. The longer you wait, the worse your punishment's going to be, in my experience anyway, if that's where you're going with it. I probably could be way off. Let's see where I was going with this. She's sparring with the butcher's boy. The whole Joffrey thing happens. And let's kind of talk about her bond with Nymeria, books and show, because I'm hoping we see Nymeria again in the show. So let's talk about her now. That way, hashtag bring back Nymeria. And, Kenzie, what were your thoughts on Nymeria? The way she had to let her go, and whether you think she'll come back.
It's almost an interesting choice that she makes, naming Nymeria, because all the other kids, like they name, like Bran names him his direwolf Summer, Rickon names his shaggy dog, Sansa names hers Lady, but it's like those are all like traditional, I guess, pet names or like animal names that people give their. But for Arya to name Nymeria is a very, I'm going to say the word, interesting concept, because we also see then later on, when in the show at least, she's talking to Tywin, how she feels so connected to Queen Nymeria and all of this, how she was like this warrior princess and stuff. So it's that as well. When she lets go of Nymeria, it's almost a thing of like letting go of what she kind of had already. It's that first sort of piece of her changing who she is and the development of the no one persona that she's going to have, because it's letting go pretty much of the first thing that remains to her as a Stark. It's like, because the direwolf is the Stark sigil, so all that had to be removed from her is like needle and other things. It's the first major piece that removes her from being a Stark and takes her down that storyline as well.
That was good. That was a good thought about releasing from the start thing. I just thought it was kind of weird that she's still 8, 9 years old, and she knows that she's going to have to get rid of this dire wolf before, you know, or it's going to die. You know, she already knows, she's aware enough to knows that Cersei's going to kill this dog or this dire wolf if she does it, and she's conscious enough to go ahead and take off her couple days and get rid of it before. I mean, and she's still young, so she has a pretty good working mind of what's going on through
9 years old. That's sharp.
Yeah, exactly.
So I kind of want to get into this because the show went a complete different direction. The wolf dreams. I definitely want you to talk a little bit about the wolfy dreams, Bran. You know, she has these all throughout the books, and they seem to get stronger and stronger. And they seem so prevalent and important in the books, and I really hate they cut it out in the show. And I'd just like to let you give an ode to the wolf dreams, Brian.
That's one of the problems I have with all of the characters and the Stark characters. You know, they just give Bran the dreams, and I mean, I understand that would have been a lot more budgeting and all that stuff, but at the same time, especially Arya, because we do see her, you know, training pretty much her skin changing abilities. I mean, she's turned blind, so she has to use the cat. She has to all these stuff in Bravos, and it's helping her grow to become who she is. So when they took the dreams out from her, or took away from her, it's really taken away from her character in general. You know, that's a major role of hers. You know, she's dreaming of Nymeria in the wolf pack while doing all this training, but yet she's having to, now it's not part of the show. So that whole aspect isn't part. So the meetup with Nymeria later in the seasons, it doesn't have the same effect as it would if she ran into her now, you know, in the books.
There's virtually no effect unless we see her come back. I mean, there's really no point except for fan service, in my opinion, for them doing that.
Yeah, that's all it was.
Kenzie?
Yeah. When Arya like kind of meets up with Nymeria in season 7, it is a thing that they just wanted to, I guess, because they didn't have Ghost for the entirety of season 7. They're just like, let's put in a direwolf because, you know, I guess technically it's like fake animal or like imaginary animal equality. So they had that. But I think for Arya, it's almost the recognition of that she is not the 9-year-old that was with Nymeria, or the 11-year-old she was when she was with Nymeria, and that even though Nymeria is bigger and has traveled the world, Nymeria is still like is now different from the puppy slash like young wolf that she was when they left, and that she says that she wants to go home with Nymeria, but Nymeria just wants to be rambunctious. So it's almost a thing of like maybe Arya being in Winterfell is a temporary situation, that it's not like a whole thing of Arya is not meant to be in Winterfell forever, that she's meant to travel the world, because she did tell the lady, I can't remember her name, in season 6 that she wanted to go west of Westeros. So her going back to Winterfell isn't, it may be a thing until Jon shows up, but then once Jon shows up and probably leaves again, she'll have to leave as well. It may be a thing where she's only there for an episode or two and then she's gone again.
Yeah, we'll talk about that at the end. I do kind of have a theory where she's going to go. Me and you, I think I've touched on this, and you know, get ready for some Arya hate from Bran. First, though, let's talk about Syrio Farrell. That's something they pretty much nailed in the show, except he wasn't bald. Other than that, they nailed that pretty good in my eyes. And I'll let you take it away, Bran. I see your eyes thinking. I see you thinking. Go ahead.
Well, he's just the next in the line of male figures that lets her down. You know, her father, she feels lets her down. Syrio is there, and then he lets her down. And it's just, then the Hound, it's a series of male figures letting her down. She gets training from him. Yeah, she takes what she can. Like she takes, you know, what she can from her father. But she in her mind, you know, the way I see it anyway, is it's just the next letdown in her storyline.
I see that. I mean, he was, I would say, probably the best influence on her, though, as far as teaching her certain things. Now, you could argue that the Hound was the realest influence and probably the best influence as far as real world application. But Serial Pharrell taught her a lot, about the scene and whatnot. But, that is something she has to deal with. That's why I think Arya will ultimately be a protagonist. We're going to see this up and down arc like we see with germ characters where they go live in this gray area. But she is I know you hate on her, but she's a super strong character in my opinion, regardless of gender, without any love interest at all. I know that everybody thinks she's gonna just instantly marry Gendry when when she sees him, and I'm not really buying that. But
No.
I'll let you go with that, Kenzie. Go ahead. Serial Pharrell. Sorry, I went on a tangent.
No. Serial Pharrell. Yeah. He's the first almost major mentor for her. That's not Ned Stark in terms of her having her character, or living her life how she wants to have it. Because as we think about it, in like season 7, she says that father told me that you don't have to play by the rules, like, and all that. Playing by the rules is like different, or I can be different. Because Ned is the first person that gives her the dancing lessons from Syrio. Ned is the first person, really, besides John, in a sense, that gives her almost the right to use Needle, but in a productive way and not going and slaughtering anybody that she sees, which then evolves into the kill list. But Syrio Pharrell is a person that, in a sense, is just one of those things where he's like a part of the catalyst again to develop her no one persona, like the first human.
I'm sorry, we had our first question. I knew this was coming. Is Syrio jacking Hagar? I don't think so. There's an super off chance, but I don't think so, Lady Laura Dane. I mean, you could stretch it, but what would the end payoff be, I guess?
That he's basically followed her throughout her journey.
It's not necessary.
No. But that, yeah.
Yeah, what's up, Danny Gaming? Yeah, I'll be doing shout outs at the end for everyone. But yeah, go ahead.
I don't think it affects the story enough for him to be jacking. I mean, it almost takes away from that being let down to be picked back up by, the next person. If he isn't actually dead and actually comes back with a different face, I think it takes away from her storyline. So it really helps for him not to be.
Yeah, I agree. It would be a plot twist, but I don't see the payoff necessarily. Go ahead, Kenzie.
The only I guess thing with that is that if Syrio is jacking, is that they've been kind of together there, or she's been kind of watched by him her entire development from the no one persona, which is kind of, in a sense, like the Three-Eyed Raven and Bran, with that whole I've been watching you your entire life, like sort of older mentor with young child saying, because I know that the Three-Eyed Raven has watched over everybody, but it's more specifically calling towards Bran in the show. Anyways, they do that whole thing, but that's all it would be, really, is just watching her entire development from Arya Stark to someone else.
Oh snap! We can kind of get into later what we think I think Arya happened upon him, but he said he was going toward the wall. We can get into that a little bit later. We can get into it now if you want to go ahead and talk about Harrenhal. That was a key scene and a good scene in the books and a good scene in the show. And shit, I'll just let you take it away, Brian.
That's probably one of the few things that I will say the show did better by putting Tywin in there. That Tywin has that aura, that power. You have to listen to Tywin. And yeah, Roose has that in the books, but it's hard to portray that through the show and the way Roose is in the books anyway. And I mean, the guy did great. Don't get me wrong. I like the guy that did played Roose, but he doesn't demand that attention like Tywin does.
Yeah, Charles Dance, right? Isn't
Yeah.
that his name?
Yeah, Charles Dance is amazing anyway, but then he played Tywin perfect, really. I really have no qualms with how he played Tywin. He had that authoritative aura about him. That's one of my issues with the Dany story. She doesn't have that leadership quality about her. If without the characters around her, she's not an interesting story to me. So, but Tywin, you can put him anywhere, and you can't take your eyes off of him. He's going to draw attention.
Yeah, he's definitely when he was alive, I would say the most powerful man in Westeros by far, the most control. And I you could argue, oh, why didn't Tywin sit the Iron Throne? Well, I think he's in a better position where he was, honestly. He had more control behind the scenes, and people who tend to sit the Iron Throne don't do well. Now, I know he may have had aspirations at one point, but I don't know. Go ahead, Kenzie.
Yeah, well, Tywin technically did sit the throne at one point. Like, he actually sat on the Iron Throne, well, in the show anyway, not in the books. But he wanted to be the manipulator. He wanted to be the person behind the puppet, like you said. There's like a thing, I can't remember, but it's like a scene that they have with Tommen or someone where or Joffrey, where he talks about being a hand and how like the hand gets to manipulate pretty much everything behind the scenes. It's just the king is just the representative, and all of that. But with Arya and Tywin, especially at Moat Cailin, like that whole thing, dichotomy, that relationship is almost it's odd, but it's fantastic that Charles Dance and such a young actress like Maisie Williams were able to almost like be like on almost the same level in that scene where she's like talking to him about Visenya and Rhaenys and then teaching him or remembering to teach him about these warriors of a bygone time. Like she's able to almost educate him in a sense. And even he compares her to Cersei as a child, which is kind of funny.
It also builds on what you were saying about her becoming no one. He points out where her mistake was, how he was able to spot that she's a true, or a highborn. She got to get rid of that to become the no one. So that's another thing. It's all a learning process. Everybody she encounters is a learning process to help her become this no one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you would think you'd have investigated that slightly more, but I really don't. This long list of father figures. I forgot about Tywin. There's so many. She's had the worst father figures ever.
It was true in the book.
Yeah, they may have not been the worst, but they've made her into the character she is today. So.
And, Bolton in the books with his leeches. I would say the main difference is at 9 is when she kills her first man. Yeah, while leaving Harrenhal, she drops that coin and stabs him in the neck. I think it happens in season 6.
That's not the first she kills.
No. That's the first, man. The boy she kills the boy first, right? Well, yeah. She had poisoned everyone. As far as actually stabbing.
Yeah, she stabbed the. Well, wait. I may be mixing the show and book.
I
I
don't
know
know.
she stabbed the stable boy on the way out of King's Landing.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
In both ways. But
I may be mixing.
she had to escape herself from Harrenhal, unlike in the show. I don't know. I like that touch. They made her. She was a little more vicious at a younger age in the books than in the show. We'll move on unless you have some more to say about that. Just give a shout out to everyone in the chat real quick. We got a bunch of peeps that popped in. Neo Blade Gaming, what's up, man? Thanks so much for coming by. Chrissy of Old Stones, much love, Chrissy. Cindy, Sammy, hello. Bubba Husky, you still here with us? I appreciate it. The one true David Adams, what's good, my friend? And goodness gracious, Lady Laura Dane, how goes it, milady? Bobby Catalano is still here with us. Septuagint Secret.
The blanket maker herself, Nancy T.
Reese.
Yes, Nancy T, the blanket maker herself. Russo. We had Danny Gaming 18. Gigi Giggles. That name makes me laugh. The Dromar family was here. Thank you so much for popping out. Check out everyone's channel, please. Later in the chat, everyone, for the most part, has a channel. Kaboko Carlos is here. Thank you so much, my friend. And Jordy Jedi. There's so many people here. I'll give more shout outs later. But we will keep going. Oh, Elamar's here. How are you doing, Elamar?
Hey, Elamar.
Let's keep it going. Oh, Neo Blade Gaming, it's your birthday?
Yep, it's a happy name day.
Happy name day, Neo Blade Gaming. Oh, good catch, everyone. Thank you. Thank you, my Andy Sammy. Okay. Now, let's get going with Arya's story arc. I really like her progression. Yeah. And as Brandon would say, as her progression to a serial killer, I would say she would already be killing little cats and stuff like Joffrey by now if she's a serial killer. But we'll argue about that later.
All right.
Now, she teams up with the Hound, and this is one of the most epic duos in cinema history, I think. And it's funny, it's gripping, touching, riveting, and action-packed.
Another.
You know, let's get into it. The Hound takes her after she's with Beric Dondarrion, and we can kind of talk about that scene. That scene was pretty cool with the Hound and Beric. If you'd like to just kind of start there with Arya and let you go ahead and go first, Kenzie.
Yeah, they have. Well, throughout that whole season 2, pretty much, Arya and a bit of season 3, Arya is with the Night's Watch recruits, and then it turns into the Brotherhood Without Banners when she's with Gendry, and that whole relationship until the Hound shows up, and when she's then separated from Gendry and Melisandre and all of the Red Priestesses and all of that thing. And when we have Arya and the Hound, that's again another father daughter, or like a father figure type relationship, even though some people think it's slightly weird, but it's the relationship that benefits her into a sense. It's kind of at that point where she has the kill list kind of personified in the show. And one of the people that she wants to kill is her traveling companion. And he's trying to teach her ways of how you do things. And there's even that scene in the end of season 4 where the Hound basically gets injured because of his fight with Bran, and he's begging her to kill him, and it doesn't happen. And you're left at this point of so she's still at the point where, yes, she wants to kill a list of people, but she won't kill one person that maybe has affected her enough that she won't do it. Maybe she's waiting for the opportune time to kill him. We don't know, but it's one of those things. And I'm almost surprised that they didn't mention Arya when they went beyond the wall in season 7.
Yeah, she didn't get a lot of mention. She is no one now.
No, but you had all the people that have pretty much know her, besides.
Well, Barrick and who's the other one? Bjorn. They both were other more male figures that let her down in a sense, you know.
They definitely let her down.
Exactly, and it's all just built. And then the Hound has a real good line with her about her father's a killer, her brother's a killer, her sons will be killers. You know, that really pounding that into her personality, her characteristics. You know, forming her to be who she will be.
Yeah, I think he says that to Sansa though, and that's kind of a good segue. Let me come back to the screen here. No, it's okay. It's perfectly fine because me and Kenzie, that's actually perfect. Because me and Kenzie are gonna do a sister comparison on her channel, basically showing how the Stark sisters stories actually parallel in a way. I'll let Mackenzie expand on it further later.
Mm-hmm.
But you do make a good point there. He teaches her a lot. He teaches her where to kill. He teaches her that all those fancy moves don't work. It's a real fight is sloppy. It's nasty. It's messy, and she sees that firsthand when Barrett gets his shoulder basically slashed off, and we can kind of talk about Gendry, which I think Gendry isn't going to be her love interest. I think Gendry's going to be the person to kind of, not the Lannister soldiers. I think Gendry might bring her back to being more normal, more of a friend, because I don't think she ain't got time for that. She does not have time to be having a love interest, especially not at this point. If they do that, it's going to seem so forced to me. That's kind of why I skipped over Gendry. Sorry, Gendry fans.
Yeah,
go ahead.
No, that's okay. It just seems that if we had another season, like if season 8 wasn't the final season, that I could see them using the hints of a relationship. But at the same time, it's like, no, he's like the one that will bring her almost back to who she sort of once was. It's like less serial killer and more of like a humane person. And the other thing too is he does have that epic boat with her, like, who the hell names their swords? Like when she's like, that's my sword, Needle, and he's like, who the hell names their sword? Like that whole thing, that dynamic.
Yeah, I won't say it. I'll only see you next Tuesdays, name their swords. But oh yeah, we can cuss on this. I do have it age restricted, but just don't go crazy, Bran. But go ahead, you can go off if you need to. So it is on age restricted. Would you like to kind of? I know you weighed in on. I do. Well, I'll just weigh in on my thoughts on the Hound because you already kind of did, and
yeah, go ahead.
There's a few more things there. We don't get as much from the books, but in the show, you get a really long, drawn-out process, and you see her dark view of the world when she has to kill the old man, or not has to kill the old man, but the old man's afraid of death, and she's like, you can't. I mean, nothing is better or worse than anything. Nothing is just nothing, and she's. You see right there, she's starting to lose emotion. She did not see Ned's head get chopped off, but she did see his headless body get dragged away. I would say that's just as bad. And, she kind of starts to turn around when she lets the Hound live, but it makes me wonder whether in the show, she let him live out of complete mercy, or she knew it would be more punishment to let him live at that point, because
To make him suffer.
and forgave him, but he was punished for it, right?
The way I see it, she let him live to make him suffer more before his death. It's a form of torture. I mean, she could have killed him. That would have been a mercy kill, but she knew killing him would be mercy, so she wanted to torture him even more. He was going to die at that point. I mean, there shouldn't have been a way for him to survive.
Exactly.
supposed to.
The way she looked at him, she took his gold. You're not gonna need it.
Yeah.
And does she have? Does she love the Hound as far as being friends, maybe? And did she respect him, look up to him? I'd say yes. But you can love and respect someone and not like them, and and still, not really, feel like they still deserve what they get. And yeah, what are your thoughts on that, Mackenzie? Because people are pretty split on that. A lot of people think that she didn't want to kill him because she didn't have the heart to kill him. I don't see it that way. She had the heart to kill a little boy. She had the heart to kill, she had the heart to do a lot of other stuff. So go.
I feel like it could have been just I don't know, because in this point in the story, it's like, did they keep him alive so they can do that epic, what's that one thing in the book? It's like that epic thing with like, not, the grave dig, like that whole grave digger thing. They kind of wanted to do maybe that. That's maybe why they didn't kill him. But it could be that, she maybe wasn't ready to kill somebody who was maybe her companion in a sense. Like the people that she's kind of killed before were people that she didn't have like a sort of relationship with, really, because like a boy doesn't really mean anything, and another person doesn't really like mean anything. It's just, I think, because maybe she had like this sort of relationship that, and maybe that she wasn't ready for it. Like she said all the name, like he was a name on her list, but maybe she just wasn't ready to maybe kill somebody that she knew personally. Or it's just the fact of they wanted to have him be more have the Hound be more epic than, I guess he is, sort of.
Yeah, we have some good comments. Yeah, Giggy Giggles, she's become ruthless. Cindy Sammy said it was a love-hate relationship. I would agree with that. Jordy, I'm jealous. I want to play some Red Dead, man. Also, YouTube with Dawn, I think she respected him because he kept her safe. I could see that. Yeah, Connie Super. Hey, Connie Super. The Hound saved her life. Through him, she got her needle back. Not ready to kill him. That's a very good point, Connie. Very good point. And yeah. And Miss Wills, welcome to the chat.
I think there was a level of respect there because he was teaching her like everybody else, all these other male figures in her life. But at the same time, by this point, I think she already expected that letdown. I mean, Ned, Sirio, Yorn, Barrick. I mean, it's just a steady stream of people letting her down. So I think she was already expecting it. Plus, he's already on her list. Not going to give him an easy way out.
Well, he kind of let her down 3 times already. He didn't get her to the Red Wedding in time, which she still would have died, but still let her down in a sense. Didn't get her to the Eyrie. And didn't get her to Winterfell. Also didn't win the fight against Brienne, so that's maybe 4. So didn't really, yeah, I see what you mean there. It's, you gotta love the Hound. We'll be talking about him soon.
Also, I guess it's like the mannerisms that she develops from the Hound, especially when she's eating, in the show.
That's a good point.
Yeah, because when he is with, it's like Arya, the Hound, and then the farmer and the farmer's daughter, or whatever, in season 4, I believe it is. When he like takes their gold or whatever, and they're eating, she's like acting more like, not animalistic, but she's acting more like that rather than like being all delicate and dainty, when she's eating. And you kind of also see it in season 7 too, where she's like ripping the bread and like when she meets up with Hot Pie. So it's like she kind of learned more stuff from people around her than she did when she was safe and at home. Her character obviously changed a whole bunch, but she adapted a lot when she was with the Hound.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know. Is there anything else you'd like to add to any of those scenes, Brent? And then we'll just kind of take off to Bravos, which I know you hate. But
No, I don't really have much to add to that.
All right. Well, she gives the iron coin. She takes off. Isn't she? What does she call herself? Salty. I can't remember what she calls her. Something like that. I think it's Salty in the books. Anyway, she's so many different people. There's so much foreshadowing to her becoming a faceless person, and she goes to Bravos, and she doesn't get let in right away. So what's the stupid coin for anyway, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she has to wander the streets of Bravos. She learns pretty much how to live on her own, which she kind of has been doing, but she's had a little help.
Wolverine.
And Bran, I'll just kind of let you take it away there. I know it's kind of boring, but
she becomes a superhero. I mean, she can't get hurt. She can fly pretty much. I mean, she's Wolverine.
Terminator.
It just, I know it's not necessarily the character's fault. It's the speed up of the timeline of the show, but it's a little lacking. Her story lacks in that area because you don't get the whole grasp of everything, and it's because of the show itself. It's not her and her character. It's just the way they chose to do it. But at the same time, it was rather disappointing. They take away so much of her growth there to becoming truly no one, to becoming that assassin, that the faceless man, and they just cut out most of it. And they have her running around playing with the waif basically for what, half a season.
They really did simplify it. And then, could the waif come after her? We'll talk about that in a little bit, maybe, but it's nothing like that in the books. In the books, well, all of the acolytes have to go blind for training. She had to go blind slightly earlier, only because of what she did. It wasn't really a punishment. She
Right.
had to do it sooner. I'd say they didn't really do the pool justice. And as far as me and you've been talking about that opening scene where she's been walking in, and I don't know if you want to describe it, you can go ahead and describe it. We can kind of.
We'll wait till we get there.
There we go. All right. But no, it's really awesome in the books, and they translated it. The house decent, but the storyline went a little off track, and I definitely agree with you there, Kenzie. I guess kind of bring us back to base. What did you like about the beginning of the Bravo storyline? Then we'll get into the meat of the wife, and how you think about that like that.
In which context? The show, like season 5,
We'll go on the show since we'll use books later.
Yeah. With Arya and going into Bravos, it's a whole journey for her. And it's, I think, probably one of the, not necessarily final steps, but she's over now the sort of like, not the hump, but she's over like the hill that takes her to become no one. That she's kind of made that journey. And with the introduction of the House of Black and White and the reintroduction of Jack and Hagar, it brings her back slightly to a time where she wasn't like a person that's familiar for us as the audience, but also for her as well, to then carry on with her journey. When she is starting her training with the Faceless Men, you can kind of see that it's not like probably what we all expected or what she expected. She doesn't do what she's told, and she gets punished for it eventually. But there's that test, though, when we first are introduced to the House of Black and White in season 5, episode 2, where she knocks on the door, someone shows up, and it's like, no, or whatever, and then closes the door, and then another person shows up.
The kindly man. Is that what we would call him, right? That's what he's called in the books. But we don't, that's who we see all throughout the books. They give us Jack and Nagar, I guess, because that's what the fans want to see, right, Bran?
Yeah.
It really takes away from what being a faceless man is by doing that, in my opinion. Go ahead, Bran.
It takes away from her polarizing story of being alone. You're all of a sudden introducing this character back into her story, and that takes away from the whole point of her being alone. I mean, through the entire thing, she can't trust anybody. She can't be close to anybody. She loses that with Gendry and Lami and Hot Pie. That was the last time she held on to anything like that. And it takes away from her storyline. Part of it, the becoming no one to being alone to just being an outcast, basically. Okay.
I couldn't agree more at all, because she is this loner. She has these wolf dreams. This is the only thing she has is her wolf dreams, and the fact that later, when she's blind, she can warg a cat, and that's how she sees. That's how she learns a lot of things, and they really diluted it. They super diluted it, and we'll just kind of, especially let's talk about the waif. In the books, she looks like she's 12, right? But she's 32. And because she works 36, because she works with poisons. Now, this brings to mind, well, who all works with poisons, and who the hell are some of these people that we think are young, really old people, like Missandei. Okay, that's just one person I can throw out. We can have a whole stream on this. I'm just throwing this out there as food for thought, y'all. But they really diluted from that. Now, the Mummer show, I kind of like that whole aspect of her having to see a recreation of that. They kind of made it painful again, but they did it in a way where it seemed forced. And I feel like I need Kenzie to kind of say something positive about this, because
where she watches the play of Joffrey's death.
Yeah, I mean that was very humorous to me. I think they tried to use that, and I mean we see in the Mercy chapter that's kind of the direction George is going. That the Mummers play there, but yeah, go ahead.
It's probably again a test to her, not necessarily from the Faceless Men or like all of that, but it could very well be a test of this is what happened when you were almost on your journey of essentially self-discovery in a sense, or of your self-evolution. Like this is what happened, even though you didn't get to see it. You probably would have if you hadn't escaped from King's Landing after Ned had died. You probably would have still been in like the royal court because again, they were the most valuable two Starks that they had left, Sansa and Arya. And then it's like almost like this is what you could have seen / witnessed if you had not went on that journey. But it's also again a test of, does she still have this kill list of her own personal kill list? Or can the Faceless Men give her a kill list that's not her own, and will she follow it? Because it's like that whole thing. But the acting in that play was really funny. And also too because they bring up pain points, because I guess she kind of knows that Sansa is alive and that she's been married off to Tyrion, but she doesn't know, I guess, how bad it could be for her sister, because even though Arya doesn't really like Sansa, it's still her older sister. It's still someone who's in the clutches of people that she hates.
Still, Sam, it makes me wonder how far in the books. Makes you wonder in the books if they're going to go the whole sister against sister route like they did in season 7. Now that you say that, it makes me I hope not. You'd like to see them come together.
The lone wolf dies, but the pack survives.
Right. And right now, you have Jon and Arya are basically the lone wolves at this point, and they're so much alike. They are both the black sheep. I think their stories are very connected, but possibly not until the end will it all come together. I think. Still kind of working on that one, but I digress. We can talk about Arya's escape from Bravos if you would like, because I believe it's one of the funniest moments on cinema. And hashtag wife Terminator in the chat. And hashtag, they outlawed the triangle blades during World War I because actually those wounds won't heal. You can't sew them back up. And that's what Arya was stabbed with in the gut like 8 times. How she survived. And I can see why people think Arya is the wife just based on how many times she's stabbed and she should be dead. But I don't think she's the wife. Kenzie, your thoughts? And then we'll let Brandon go on a super rant.
I just thought about this for a second because you know how people don't, or at least Dany didn't believe that Jon had been stabbed in the heart until she eventually saw his stab wounds. Although I'm gonna sexualize Maisie Williams for a second. Will she have to show her stab wounds at some point?
It's a trench knife. Thank you, Jordy Jedi.
But yeah, it's like, will Arya have to show her stab wounds at some point? Maybe if it's like that whole like sexy time thing with Gendry that she'll show her wounds, but that would, although it's yes, sexualizing Maisie Williams in a scene that she technically doesn't need because that's not her character, to just all of a sudden just get all flashy and everything. But that would be one way that D&D can kind of prove that Maisie Williams was, or Arya Stark was stabbed, was that if there's like that whole thing, it dispels all those fan theories that that Arya is the wife. But when that happened in the book, it was just like, oh, you're just gonna try and do shock and awe value by trying to kill off everybody's or most people's favorite Stark and most people's favorite Stark sister. But yeah, but the wife was just weird too in the show.
And I just thought about that does parallel Jon getting killed as well, right? Kind of how you're talking about. That's a good point.
Technically, she is kind of the wife, though. I mean, if she's got her face to be able to use, she'll get her memories, yada, yada, yada.
Well, see, they didn't go into that in the show. That's what's I hate about the faces. They didn't go in that she gets the memory. She, like when she puts that face on in the books, there's this pain that lasts of her death. She has to relive the death of that person, or traumatic events. All kinds of things. They really don't go into that. It's just like a Halloween mask on the show. It's just like that.
Yeah, when they wear the mask in the show, I think it's just that they get their voice and they get how they act, like how they acted with everyone else. That's how she was so able to act so much like Walder Frey, enough that she was so convincible as Walder Frey. It's not that. It's not explained. It's just like she's just like, I just wear this mask and I become these people. But it's like, how do you become these people? Was never really well and truly explained.
Yeah, I don't like that. We'll go on to it unless you want to rant about it a little more, Brian. And we'll just get on to her getting back to Westeros. And well, who wants to talk about Frey pie first? You think it tastes good? I don't think weasel tastes that good, or ferret. That's what they're called in the books, ferrets. They call them all ferrets. Who was it? Cleo Frey? They got dragged by the horse. His foot got caught in the stirrups, and they got attacked.
Cleo or Merritt?
That's one of the two. Ooh, that was horrible.
Freys. So many of them. I don't remember which one.
Yeah. So, Brian, I'll let you take this one. Have you seen that in the show? Dude, I mean, Because, okay, I'll set it up. So Arya, feeds, reminiscent of the rat cook, like we hear in, what is it, season 2 from Sam? Not from Sam, from Bran and telling Mira. Or is it season 3? I don't know. It's Bran telling Mira and Jojen and Hodor, who's getting really scared about the rat cook, and then Sam comes up, and it's reminiscent of the whole story, and she feeds him his sons. In short, Arya then poisons all of the Frey heirs and leaves the females alive. This is kind of where I see they completely tried to just straight up sloppily merge Stoneheart and Arya, and I will let you take it away, Bran.
I think I don't understand why people were so happy when she did it. I don't get it. You're watching a child murder an entire family. That's a psychopathic thing to do. I don't care who you are, what they done to you, and then to be so stupid, she sits there and tells Walder Frey, you left the girl, and then she leaves all the girls alive. She just completely contradicts herself. That whole scene was stupid. It was just stupid. I don't get the hype behind it. I don't know why people liked it so much. Like you said, they're merging the Lady Stoneheart with her, and that's where they screwed up. They were giving basically Lady Stoneheart's psychopathic tendencies to Arya at that point, and then tried to remedy it by having her meet up with these Lannister troops and having that humanizing moment. But I hated that. I hated it. It was probably one of the worst scenes in the entire series.
It begs me to wonder, she had Jaime there, and there's no way that she's like, oh, I've forgiven Jaime for everything. She still has to blame Jaime for being who Jaime is, even if, she knows Jaime fought Robb. She knows Jaime had a hand. She was listening to them talk about having a hand in the Red Wedding. Like, there's kind of a plot. You would think she would do it then, but maybe she needed time alone. I don't know. It just seemed really forced. Go ahead, Kenzie.
Nikolai Coster-Waldau was one of the highest paid actors on Game of Thrones. They wouldn't kill him right before season 8. He has a better arc that he has to go through, aka season 8, I guess. That's why she probably didn't kill him then. And probably the easiest person and the most expendable of the two was Walder Frey. Also because Walder Frey claims he was the person to kill Robb Stark. Even though he didn't do it by his own hand, he's the one that claims he killed Robb Stark, and the one who claimed, or his son, that is the one that killed her mother. So it's that whole dichotomy of like that she's keeping him. Maybe she kept him alive for a better reason, only to kill him in season 8. Who knows? It's like one of those things with like the Hound as well.
Bruce does say Jaime Lannister sends his regards when he killed Robb. So,
but yeah, it could be, like I said, it's one of those things too where she kept Jaime Lannister alive for a reason. She kept the Hound alive for a reason. Maybe she's meant to kill them both in season 8, or I don't know. It's one of those things. But when they have the Frey pie, that you can kind of see is where she's hit almost her peak of psycho. First murdering a whole group of people, butchering them, skinning them, baking them into a pie, and then serving it to their father.
She didn't brown the butter though. That's one thing she messed up on. Hot Pie told her that.
Yeah. That's the one thing out of all those steps that we fault her for, is not baking it absolutely perfect. It'll be one of those things, I think, in season 8 where she kept them alive for a reason, and it's going to be explained to us in season 8 why she kept certain people alive when they were on technically her list.
Yeah. So Clarissa kind of thinks that she overlooked Jaime simply because she had a focus, a plan, and he was an anomaly that could risk that plan. Yeah, I mean, she really did focus on Jamie and like even kind of flirt with him as wearing that face. That would make sense. I mean, she had to get everything in the right position where she didn't get caught. And this was after the Lannister party had left. If she would have did it during the Lannister party, she probably wouldn't have escaped. I see you there. Also, YouTube with Dawn, I want to say thank you very much. I do streams on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I do Game of Thrones and Westworld, but I do Game of Thrones pretty much every week. And also on Mackenzie L. Burns' channel every Wednesday. We do Episode Club, and we'll be starting to do it twice a week as well. So yes, if you're a GOT fan, come check us out. We have stuff going on all the time.
Can't forget God Amino.
Yes, and the God Amino, of course. It's all linked below. Everyone just throw out a bunch of links. Yeah, have a good time. So, what, Bran, what are your thoughts on, nobody really thinks about that process. Mackenzie brings up a good point. She had to skin them. She had to debone them. She had to cook these people, man.
She had to do a psychopathic. I mean, she was not in her right mind when this happened. I mean, she was totally off the wall, and everybody cheered and was happy about it, and it made no sense to me because, like she brought up, she done some screwed up things there.
You can say it, man. We're on parental advisory. Go ahead.
I'm trying. And then for her to, and you see it when she meets the Lannister soldiers there. She's watching everybody. She got her weapon handy, and then she has that moment of realization that they're not the lords. They're not the people who caused this. The lords they're just doing what they're supposed to or told to do. And
we don't know if they're alive though.
Humanizing effect or scene.
I was just gonna say we don't know if they're alive. That might be a humanizing scene, but we might see a flashback where, because Bran, I don't know. Go ahead.
I think she left him alive because that brought her back from that brink of where that Lady Stoneheart Arya switch.
Yeah, yeah. Do you think she's completely back? I mean, she acted really weird in Winterfell. I know we have a deleted scene, but the deleted scene was after she was acting weird. She, the whole thing of her showing Sansa her faces and like, I wonder what it'd be like to wear your pretty face. She was doing all this before she knew that Baelish planted the letter. Even if you put in the deleted scene, the deleted scene happens after that. I still think her only hope is Gendry bringing her back, but not as a love interest. I mean, there's no way. She would just kill him or something. Like, over and over. Like a heated love argument, and she'd just kill him. But they don't have time for that. But I see that, like, that friend coming back and John coming back, that's going to bring her back more than anything. But, we can get into this. There's going to be some super conflict in the North when Dany gets there. Arya's not going to be happy. No one's going to be happy with this. Not one person. No one else has seen the Army of the Dead either. So they're all got to, like, trust Bran for everything. Bran has seen the Army of the Dead and Sam. But you have all these Northern Lords who aren't going to believe Bran and Sam. Arya will. Sansa will. Who else will?
They believed Bran enough to easily convict Baelish to die, because they had scenes that none of the children were involved in, and yet they all knew that things had happened. Like,
sloppy too. We can talk about that because Arya was. The best part of season 7 was the sparring match between Arya and Brienne. That's the best season 7, and the time traveling ravens.
The epic ravens. They deserve an Emmy nomination. Is the epic ravens, not?
And Drogon, Rhaegal, and Viserion are the fastest dragons in history. But hey, they had to speed it up for cinematic processes. Bran's like, God dang it, man! Go ahead, rant away, my friend. For release.
The books. It's not the books. If you haven't read them, please read the books. You will get a much better understanding of these characters and motivations and trials and tribulations that they all go through. It's just so much better. I'll just leave it at that.
It helps me enjoy the show more too, honestly. And the gaps that you have in the show, you can actually fill in a lot of the gaps with the books and understand why things in the show happen up until a certain point. And I'm beginning to wonder how much of the newer part is real. There are a few things in the newer seasons that are definitely happening in the books, and that's kind of what you want to figure out. But we'll get back to Arya.
Yeah.
The Lannisters soldiers. What do you think about that, Kenzie?
The Lannister soldiers, so we can have an appearance from. Yeah, this is besides the point of that we get a cameo from Ed Sheeran, and his singing abilities. That I guess that's supposed to be what we are led to believe is her thing of, oh, they're not all bad, like they're like the relatively sane people, like, even though the Lannisters themselves are slightly crazy, that the people that work for them aren't. And I don't know if that's like to bring her back to compassion. I think it's, if anything, from those two people that she interacts with before she goes back to Winterfell. It's Hot Pie. It's Hot Pie that basically is like, your brother that you've been talking to me about before I left is up there. You just have to go find him, rather than the fact of than just a bunch of Lannister soldiers who we never really know their names. We just get random backstories from them. We get Ed Sheeran to sing and talk on Game of Thrones. And yet we don't actually find out what happened with the soldiers. Did she kill them all? Did she let them live? Like, all of this stuff is like, because she could easily put on a happy, smiley face and then just murder them all. Or she just let them be. But like, would Lannister soldiers just let a young girl run away in the woods by herself when they don't know who she is, but they may have a description of who Arya Stark is, even though she's presumed to be dead at this point?
The only problem is every Lannister soldier ever portrayed in the show has been a massive dickhead. And all of a sudden, this whole group of Lannister soldiers is cool. It's like, they're definitely.
You found the one group that like is actually like decent. It's like the one group, and it's just like,
It's what they were talking about, wanting to go home and see their families and go back to basic living. That's a big theme in the books, is, everybody who's affected by war, so that's why it's the humanizing effect, because you see her in the next scene with Hot Pie, how she's kind of back to where she learned from the Hound, like you mentioned, the eating, and I mean, she's back to being herself, basically, that she's become from all this through her experience. But that's why that is supposed to be the humanizing moment, because she realizes that these are just people. I mean, and they're just doing what they're told. They don't have no harm intention to her. She shouldn't immediately have intentions to harm them. They're just wanting to have a bite to eat and go about their day.
Yeah. You would think she would have learned this, though, at the House of Black and White, with all her perception abilities, that she's supposed to know how to read people. And you know that a soldier's just a soldier. They're fighting for someone who, anyway, someone's drooling over you.
I see that.
Krista, you're killing me. What was I talking about?
Something about the Lannisters. The Lannister soldiers.
We were talking about Bran's beard and how it humanizes Arya's character in Game of Thrones, and it brings her back to reality. No, I see what you mean, and I think it was good. But you make a really good point, Kenzie. I think it was more of a hot pie, but uh, maybe that was showing that she is able to see that now more than that's the first time she's seen it. But I don't know. She seems like she wanted to kill him when she walked up on him too, though. And that's a tough one. It was forced. We'll move on.
Clarissa said something that she said, Arya never becomes no one. She's Arya Stark of Winterfell, and she went home. And I agree with that completely. She doesn't achieve no one. She never does achieve it because she can't let go of what she had. She can't let go of everything involved. And yeah, I mean, she hit it spot on.
Very true. She's still an acolyte in the books, and it doesn't look like she's about to have to run away in the books as well. So that's a very good point, Clarissa. Yeah. Thank you for catching that, Bran.
Yeah. Yeah, because she doesn't get rid of Needle, and that's the last really thing that makes her Arya Stark is Needle. There's a few good questions or comments. Sorry, like Arya versus like Meryn Trent and all of that whole thing as well in the show. Because they'll say like Arya with the Lannisters and the Syrio, like the scene but I think it's Meryn Trent and the 2 Lannister guards or gold cloaks that take out Syrio, bro.
I think it's gold cloak.
No, is it? Are you men or snakes to send Lannister soldiers? Yeah, there's Lannisters, but the one gold cloak is Meryn Trent that comes. Well, the King's Guard / whatever. But they had the weird Lannister flip visors. To the point of the Meryn Trent death, now I see where that comes from. They must have got a peak of Mercy before they did that scene. If you read Mercy, she takes out Wrath the Sweetling. Not the same way, but she is acting as she does seduce him, gets him in the quiet area, and she nicks his artery on his inner thigh. And it is just, I won't even say anymore. You should listen to Chrissy of Oldstone's narration of Mercy from the pre-released Winds of Winter chapters. There's your plug, Chrissy. It's fantastic. I can't wait for Winds of Winter, and now hearing that George is still having trouble finishing the book, I hope he's trolling us, but I wouldn't doubt it. That is not good news. So, moving on. Unless you have any more thoughts on that, we will go to when Arya gets to Winterfell and meets whatever Bran is now. And, we have her whole thing. We kind of touched on the Peter Baelish, but when did she become such a badass fighter when she couldn't beat the waif? That's what I want to know. And take it away, Kenzie. And you can talk about the awkwardness with Bran, what it seems like Bran.
When Arya arrives back in Winterfell in 704, if my memory serves me right, or 703. Yeah, it's 704, I think, when she arrives back, and it's a dynamic that I guess we all were waiting for, and it's a thing that a lot of show people were waiting for, which is when Arya returns to Winterfell, and that the person that she expected that was in charge was Jon. But then when the guards go, Lady Stark is in charge here, or whatever. There's a moment where she thinks, because I've watched a thing, that it's like where I watched the scene. They say Lady Stark is in charge, so could they have? It's a thing of like, could they have assumed that Arya had assumed that Jon maybe had married, or that there was someone who was named Lady Stark, but she was trying to figure that out, who was named Lady Stark. And then she gets to that point of like, maybe it's Sansa. So then she maybe takes the risk by saying, my sister's home, like that whole thing. Because Jon was declared king. So it's like, maybe a thought. But when she sees Bran, and Bran gives her cat's paw dagger, or the what it's named in the show is the cat's paw dagger anyways, you can see that she's like, okay, someone else, another brother, has accepted my, I guess, knife skills or my sword fighting skills, because it's like, you are a faceless assassin, pretty much. So it's like one brother gives her a needle and then another brother gives her a dagger. So it's like that kind of whole thing, and it's sweet because it's her little brother. So her big brother and her little brother both support her killer mentality, her dynamic.
Yeah, just Bran from the show and panel is super creepy. Wedding night voyeur.
Yeah.
No, Bran 9000, you're killing me here, Bran.
Well,
You know, he really isn't Bran anymore. People want to call him Bran. He is the three-eyed raven now. He is all of the former children and the former Greenseers combined. That's what a lot of people don't understand. I do kind of, I hate how he acts in a sense, but I can't think of another way he could act. You know, he's
transcended.
right.
He's a god now. He is above human emotion. He's above human traits. That's where people want him to be more, like the character we knew, but he's not anymore. He's above everybody. I mean, he's literally everything around him. So I love the way they portrayed him. I'm all for it the way they done it.
Yeah, he really did die. He died in the cave, but he really did die during the fall. And in the books, you could say he died during the fall once he got his his third eye pecked out. You know, pretty awesome. I wish they would have did a dream instead of just him waking up after a lady was killed. Anyways,
yeah,
I digress.
Yeah, no, I got off on Bran there.
You know, she does get the dagger, and then she immediately shows off her skills, which I thought was fantastic. But last time we seen her, she was getting her ass kicked by the waif, and the waif wasn't even using hands at one point.
Must be one of the faces.
I could see how. See, this is where it gets messed up. She kills the wife in the dark, but they don't let you know that all faceless men have to train blind, so that it's not even an advantage.
They leave out the cat.
Except, yeah, and the cat that she wargs while she's blind, you know, and how powerful a warg Arya is. We can just kind of segue into that. We've covered pretty much everything in the show, and I wouldn't say that. Yeah, they dumbed Arya down a lot in the show. Still love her, but let's get into how powerful a warg she is in the books. Kind of our predictions, hopefully for the show, and we'll say book predictions for another stream. Sound good, Bran?
Yeah.
So, like, one of your main points we were talking about off air is how powerful a warg Arya is. You know, she wargs Nymeria every night from across the Narrow Sea. We only know of one other person that could warg that far, and Bran isn't even doing it yet, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, right at the first time he eats the paste and everything, he sees everything. He sees Arya. He goes beyond the north, everywhere. So, sure.
Now it begs to wonder. You know, she's not sickly. Maybe she's not a green seer, but
she's definitely a skin changer.
Right. And I would think that, you know, the Varamir Six Skins chapter kind of foreshadows a lot. It foreshadows Hodor getting taken over by Bran. It foreshadows, I think, Arya becoming a stronger warg than Varamir Six Skins. And I think Arya is going to warg the entire wolf pack and Nymeria. The entire wolf pack in the end of the books. But we'll get into that in detail later. I also think that Jon is a super powerful warg and doesn't know it, but we'll get into that in the Jon breakdown. she has the potential to. She has these crazy superpowers in the books, almost. And now she knows she's been working with poisons. And we haven't even seen her use that in the show yet, right? We haven't even seen her use the poisons she's had to practice with for months. That may come out in season 8. I'd just like to throw that out there. I'll give my season 8 predictions. I'm just kind of sparking the flame here. And would you like to go ahead and go first, Bran? Talk about the warging in the books, what you think about Arya there, and then kind of what you would hope to see from the show. But yeah,
Oh, definitely the warging will play a part in the books. I know that for a fact. It's going to be. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, AU just brought up Bran skin changing the Ravens. That's a good point. It does kind of parallel that, and it. She may end up bringing the wolves in at some point. You know, she does have all these wolf dreams. That'd be a neat thing to see in season 8. Her warg the wolf pack, like you said, and bring it to up north. You know, that would be a neat idea. But I don't really know where D&D are trying to take the show. I gave up trying 5 seasons ago.
she's simply gonna assassinate probably Cersei next season or something. And
I don't like that. I don't like her being involved with Cersei's storyline at all. She needs to be up north where she's at. You know, for her to go back down south fight the mountain or whatever. I've seen that a big popular. I don't like any of that. She needs to stay where she's at and take care of what's going on.
the mountain already has a fate worse than death. Why would you even want to kill him? I mean, the man can't talk. He can't. We don't even know how he's controlled. Bubba Husky has brought up a few times in a funny way, and I think in a serious way too, that possibly, Robert Strong will go crazy on Cersei, and that possibly at one point, if not Pycelle, God, what's his name? I can't think of whatchamacallit's name.
Qyburn.
Qyburn. Why is it escaping my brain right now? But if Qyburn, I think Qyburn has ultimate control over the mountain. And I can see a situation where he turns on her exactly like basically Jamie did or Pycelle did on the Mad King, where he sees, because we know that Qyburn is only looking after himself. I can see him like cutting bait, killing Cersei, and saying, "Hey, I have Cersei for you. How may I serve you now?" And his fate ultimately, I'm sure Jamie's gonna kill him. I kind of see that foreshadowed in the show. As far as Arya, I honestly think she's gonna sneak back in that tunnel she came out of in the books and show, where she got lost chasing the one-eyed tomcat in the books, just a regular tomcat in the show. I think she's going to enter back in there, probably using Peter Baelish's face. It's going to be stupid because Cersei should already know that Peter's betrayed her. But who else's face is she going to use? She have to kill someone else, I guess. But anyways, go ahead, Kenzie. I know you have something on this.
She'd have to, but it could be a thing where the North maybe keeps it a secret that Baelish has died. I don't know. Well, because we know one secret can be kept from a character in this storyline, and it's Sam, and how the fact that his father and his brother have died has been kept from him for like a couple months now, since they've died. So maybe they can have that logic played out that it's like maybe King's Landing doesn't know, but who knows. But I brought up a good point, and I think Lauren had also brought up a similar thing. What if Arya is able to call the wolf pack kind of like how Dany does in Dance, when she's able to like not call, but like call Drogon to her aid in a sense. Like, what if she's able to do that?
I was just gonna say you're right. Like Drogon consents when Dany's in danger, type thing. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's just like one of those kinds of things. 'Cause that could be a dynamic that they could play in the show. It's like there's a moment where maybe Arya is like in a position where, because we're going to be bound to have those moments where Arya is in a position where she's fighting and it's it's like a lost cause kind of thing. But the wolf pack or a super pack shows up and they just come charging. Like maybe a thing where we lose a lot of dire wolves, but it may be like that whole thing where that may sort of thing happens. It was just a thought that popped in my head because of the episode that I have on Drinks and Nose this week.
Yeah, I don't see it. It's like on my wish list, but why would they bring her back in season 7? Why just a montage? And then we have all this money on production and CGI. We've seen the 500-foot tall green screens. I'm probably, exaggerating here, but I just want. I don't even want to say my money's worth because it seems like the more money they spent, the worse it's got. They've focused more on CGI and less on script. Yeah, Brandon, you have anything to add, my friend?
No, I don't think the whole Wolfpack idea is out of the realm of possibility, though. I mean, that.
I just don't have faith in D&D, man.
Well, I mean, I know they allude to Rob changing skins and fighting as a wolf, and like I said, Rickon, he becomes more feral, like in the scene in the crypts with Bran. He's real agitated, like Shaggy Dog is. So, and she brought up Dany and Drogon, so I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility, but at the same time, like you said, I don't put a whole lot of faith in them. They cover up bad writing with CGI, and I mean, it's a nice thing to watch, I guess, but if you're invested in the story, it's hard to make that justification.
They got away from the Game of Thrones. Like, the key thing was the game, and they got a lot away from the game.
Oh, yeah, the political maneuvering and just all that intrigue behind it. It just, because they wanted to rush it and move on to other things, and they should have passed on the torch or something.
I am still thankful that they did it. It is probably some of the best cinema in a while. There's good stuff out there, but this is very high up there, and I love the show. As far as Arya Stark, just as a character in general, not judging the show, I know she's not your favorite, but on a 1 to 10, where would you rank her?
She's up there. I mean, I know I don't necessarily like her storyline after Bravos, but I still like her character. So I mean, she's probably a 7 or 8 on my scale of 1 to 10. I do enjoy her story, and there's a lot of stuff going on. And like the Ghost of High Heart's a character that we don't see in the show, and that's a really interesting interaction between the two. A couple interactions.
Yes. We'll talk about that interesting thing. Take a shot. That's something we do here on this show. We say interesting so much, you have to take a shot. Everyone in the chat, you must get drunk every time we say the I word. Septuagina's Secrets goes with an 8 for Arya's character. I give her a 9. She's definitely my top 3 favorite characters. For the simple fact, just a kid. She's a kid. And I think if I was in that situation, like if Sansa was in that situation, she would be dead. But, me and Kenzie are really going to talk about this. If Arya was in Sansa's situation, Arya would be dead. There's some interesting parallels there that we'll get into later, and I would definitely say that I just love Arya's character because of how I don't know, that lone wolf aspect, and then her finding herself and being alone. I know they mucked it up in the books, but I can really relate to it, and the fact that she's basically has to become an adult at 9 years old is super relatable as well. In a world of chaos is a ladder or whatever. But let's see. Reese gives it an 8. Kill level 9.5. Chris
Evolved.
Stones gives it a 9.5. And Kenzie, what do you give her?
It's kind of like a rating, on 2 levels.
Because she's your sister, right, Sassy Sandra?
Well, I have to kind of love her. There should almost be like, who's now my Arya? Like, if I'm Sansa, who's Arya? But I feel like Arya as a character, as it goes like around a 9, kind of drops down to 8.75 because of the stupid writing that she was given in 7. But for like Bran said, like she has the kill level of like a 9.5. Like she can kill a whole bunch of people. We didn't even talk about how many people she's kind of killed in this. We kind of touched on it a little bit, but she does kill a lot of people. A lot of adults who would seemingly have outmaneuver her in some sense, but also at the same time, she's able to do it like Bravosi water dancer that she is, or adapted. Fandom gives it 10 out of 10 because she didn't go to King's Landing to kill Cersei, and EA says 10 out of 10. Not yet, BBM. Not yet.
There's a Cersei Lannister breakdown. If you want to hear Fandom Descent gush over Cersei Lannister and tell you how much he loves her and how much you should love her, go check it out. It's on my channel in the Game of Thrones character breakdowns playlist. It's actually a really great stream. We had fun.
We had a good time.
Go ahead, Kenzie.
Yeah, it's one of those situations where it's like her character kind of wavers as of season 7 in terms of quality of her character, but the kill part, like the way that she kills characters, is like a 9.5, like I think Reese said. Yeah, Jordy Jedi says she's killed more people than anyone else. I think so. Well, by her own hand, I think, yes. I think the Mad King, or not the Mad King. Mad King tried to kill more people than anybody else.
Tywin probably killed more people than anyone.
Yeah, but not really. Was it by his own hand though?
Indirectly, yeah, very
indirect.
That's a true point. Well,
by her own hand.
I guess on screen for sure, you could say, for sure on screen. I don't know about everyone's past. That'd be a tough one. That's food for thought right there.
That's a lot of research to go in. That's like a.
Brad wants to chime in. I see it.
Yeah.
I was only thinking Sandor might have killed more, but
yeah, I was thinking that.
That's a question for Google.
And Bran, didn't he kill a girl when he was 11, or
a woman or something? A woman was one of his first kills, I think. He said.
So yeah, maybe Bran and Sandor might,
But I mean,
that's a good point.
Yeah, it's you get quite a few Arya death scenes, and but yeah, Sandor has quite a few too. So
I ate all the fucking chickens in this room.
I think Reese may have the right answer. Drogon has the most personal kills.
Maybe he has the most big kills.
Melt on
for sure. Like out of all the dicks, yeah, he's killed all the dicks. The dickons beware. Drogon is a coming. Wow, that didn't sound right. So
I've had a few of those this stream.
We have devolved. Luckily, it's near the end of the stream and it's shout out time. So, Mackenzie, how far back does your chat go? Let's get some shout outs to those lovely people.
I think it goes all the way to. No, it doesn't go all the way to the top, but it goes relatively far. Do you want me to help you?
Yeah. Chrissy of Old Stones.
The Design the Secrets. Reese O. Lawrence Corner. Bubba Husky. Bobby Catalono. Shout out to Friday night streams. Neo Plinter. Someone named Johnny Be Crazy. I don't know. And also Bran the Builder, who's on with us today. We had Alamar show up. AU Pack Mule.
Jedi.
Jordan Jedi. There's a whole bunch of people here.
Let's see. Catalano, Saint, Gloomy
Souls.
Yeah, Danny Gaming 18. What was the other game?
The Domar, the Domar family. Clarissa Thompson.
Thompson, Miss
Wales, Jamaica Girl. One.
with Dawn.
Giggy Giggles. Oh, YouTube with Dawn. Yeah. Oh, all these people in here too. Go check out their channels. Most of them make content. If you like their content, check them out. And most people in here will eventually. Connie Super was here, and did we say AU Packnell?
Yes.
Give a shout out to AU again. Thank you so much for coming, friend.
And congratulations again on the 100 or the 1,000 subs. Sorry.
Yes, my friend, and hopefully I'll be catching up with you soon. Now, I gave shout outs in the middle of the stream because YouTube lately you can't see the whole chat unless I go on playback. So if I missed you, please forgive me. It is not intentional. The streams are getting a little bigger these days, which is a good thing.
Shane asked a question.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It says,
when the Hound asks Arya if that is the first time she killed a man, she says the first man. Why didn't the Hound ask her to elaborate or ask her what she meant?
That is a good point. I think he just kind of assumed that she probably hadn't killed a child either.
Yeah.
At that point, she's a little lordling. The only Stark girl he really knew at that point more was Sansa, and he knew how Sansa was, and he knows Arya's different, but they had the same upbringing, so I could see him overlooking that easily.
So I would almost disagree with you.
Oh, go ahead and disagree. That makes for a good damn stream.
I think he would have caught the understanding of what she said meant by first man and just left it at that. I don't think he. Sandor's a really intelligent fighter. He's the most real character on there. He's not going to bullshit anybody. He's going to just straight up, this is how it is. And so I think he would have caught the understanding of what she was trying to say.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, it's kind of a rhetorical statement, something that it makes more sense of why he. I don't know. He gave her that one chance to kill him. You better kill me with that rock. That shit was funny.
She could have killed him multiple times, but she didn't.
She did.
There was also funny hashtags. Near the end of before we started the shoutouts, like Christy Woldson says, "Say no to white polar bear or polar bear whites," and then I put in a hashtag what D&D wants. They kind of get because they begged and pleaded for that white polar bear. Bob Husky said, "Say yes to bald direwolves," and then Chrissy said, "Shave ghost after you save ghost." Lauren said, "Say yes to giant kraken whites." And it's like a whole bunch of funny hashtags.
Edward, thank you for showing up, my friend. How are you doing today?
Hashtag death to Dickens. Hashtag dig off. Hashtag rather dick on than dick off.
So, Mackenzie has a new video coming out. It's an unboxing vid. It is linked in the description below.
It'll go live.
Pops BBN, so you might want to check that out. Also, tonight is Episode Club at 8 p.m. Eastern, Season 2, Episode 1. What's the name of the episode?
The North Remembers.
The North Remembers. And I believe Ben Hogan will be on, and John St. Baptiste is going to try to be on as well. Also, tomorrow, doing a short stream on a Stranger Things spoiler-free rewatch introduction. Kinsey has never seen Stranger Things and does not like scary stuff, and Stranger Things is only slightly jumpy, so I think she can handle it, and I think it'll be a very fun rewatch. She's also going to do reaction videos to that as well because she's scary. There's more stuff coming up. Look out for thumbnail. Oh, Friday, Many-Face God stream at 11 a.m. with John St. Baptiste. Might have someone else on. I'm not sure yet, but that will be at 11 a.m. Very busy person. Go ahead and plug your stuff, Kenzie.
1 second. I was replying to BBM because yes, I have a video coming out after this. I'll make it public. So yeah. But we have an unboxing of a few Game of Thrones pops. But then yes, we have episode club tonight around 8, and then tomorrow we have Stranger Things. Friday, Silent John's around 9. 6 Degrees of Separation is what it's called. Season 1, episode 7. And then on Sunday at around 2 o'clock ish, we will be having myself on Drinks and Nose podcast with Ben Hogan, Luke, Glenn, Abby, and myself. We're going to go over season 5, episode 9, A Dance of Dragons. Spoiler free because Abby's the first time watcher. And yeah, we'll have that. Other than that, that's I think all I have to plug so far. Because everything is evolving. Plus, yeah, Stranger Things. I'll be doing Stranger Things at some point coming out. But yes.
Check out Mackenzie's Twitter and Instagram, linked in the description below. And Bran, give a shout out, man. Go ahead and plug Got, Amino, and all that good stuff, my friend.
Yeah, basically, I don't do the videos very often. I'll join some friends to do it, but I don't know, whatever reason I don't do that. I like to write them though. I do write a lot of theories on Thrones and games. GOT Amino. I was on other places. I don't even know where all I'm at. Bran the Builder 1 on Twitter. I'm in every kind of Facebook group you can think of. So yeah, I'm always talking Thrones. So find me somewhere. We'll talk.
That's what's up, man. And he will talk, and he will blow your mind and get you thinking. I just want to thank you for coming on, my friend. I appreciate it. First time having you on. Hopefully I'll have you back very soon.
Definitely. I had fun.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just agreeing with you. I had fun. I enjoyed it.
Oh, yeah, man. Just laid back and chill. We'll try to have fun. We'll get serious every now and then. Mackenzie, as always, fantastic. It's a pleasure having you on, my co-host, and we got to get ready for another stream here in a few hours. And thank you so much, everyone.
We had a really good chat tonight.
We did.
It was moving sometimes really fast because everyone was chatting all at once. It was good.
And I appreciate both of y'all helping me keep up with the chat as well, now that you mention it. So thank you, everyone. And I have Bran's Twitters in the descriptions. I don't have his Facebook, though. I got to make me a book face. But much love, everyone. And we'll see y'all later.
Bye.
See you. Bye.